Dr. Johnson here again. Okay, part two of this. The heart can see deeper than the mind. Okay, why the crux of it all? Why did Christ come and be crucified on the skull? Because the skull is the head. As the body follows the head, the body will speak what the head sees. And whatever we think of here and discern here is our navigation system. And when we navigate like that, when you're filled with the Holy Spirit, I promise you we make less mistakes. But Christ, at the time of Christ and on into now, he came because the people's minds were far from him. You had the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and we all know about them. We had pretty much the same thing going on then in the time of Christ that we have going on now. So people see, but they don't see. They don't, because they don't use that spiritual eye, the discerner, that tells you everything. So Christ knew in order for the people in that day to behave and live out their maximized best selves, their divine self, in order for people of that day and on into our day, in order to live a right life, you've got to have right thought. And a lot of people do. But because we live in a world, another thing is why I write things down, of collective consciousness, then we tend to pick up on each other's thoughts, or as the conscious folks say, vibration, or the I see you thing, that I got you thing, because we pick up on each other's energy fields. That is scientific. It is not new age. Read about it. Those are real things, So, and those are your spiritual gifts, whether you like it or not. They really are. I'll probably get a little note on that one too. But it's the truth nonetheless. And the light, unless you walk in the light, see the light, hear and feel it here, you can end up in a ditch. Now the light, of course, that I'm talking about is not the wattage in a light or a street light or your headlights on your car. The light is the light of the soul. The light is the light of the Christ. The light is the light of righteousness. And what is righteousness? Righteousness is simply doing it right. Right according to who? The one who created the laws. Where do you find those laws that are created by the Creator and given by the Creator? You find them in you, in your heart. They are written upon your heart. And so you have a natural instinct to know what's right. Babies know what's right and what's wrong. And that's what they mean when you walk in the light. You will know not only God, you will know yourself, which is the crux of what I teach. Know thyself. And you know why I teach that? The way I love to teach that is because for so many years I denied me. And it was costly. It cost you years to get where you have to go. So my miseries became my ministries. So that's why I have this passion for designing your life on whatever scale God decides to put it. Because when you see people walking in darkness and think they're in light, then you could be in church doing that. And I think this is who I preach to. The ones who are Christians. The ones who have been going to church since they were in their mama's womb. But because of worldly things, wrong teaching, this, that, and the other, and all of that, they tend to mess up. And sometimes don't know how you got into the ditch. Because we got into ditches. Because even though we knew what we thought was truth, if you go back, I used to get mad with people when they tell me, well, you're responsible for that. I know. Am I responsible for it? I didn't do this to myself. But somewhere in that, whatever it is, that threw you in a ditch or in a bad place, you had a warning somewhere. But it was so tiny, so small, and God never yells. And if he yells, you better do what he said because there's imminent danger. But God never types in caps. Okay, He really doesn't. Sometimes you can barely hear it, but the more you draw nigh, the more you hear. But He'll tell it to you. But we tend to want what the flesh wants more than we want the divine self, and it's not till you get to be older, like I am, and I knew it younger. You hit it around 25, you start learning some sense, whatever the case may be, to learn that God's way is really the only way. It's not the best way, it's the only way. And when you think about, and I used to think about it when I was a little girl too, if Christ, and since He did, who is God, loved mankind enough, which includes me, then I think I can at least try to do right. I used to be called self-righteous, and she thinks she's better than anybody else. No, it was not that. I'm thankful for every blessing I have, always have been. I'm thankful even when there were 22 million knives in my back. I'm thankful when witches and warlocks came after me, little old me. Who am I bothering? But yes, they did. And sometimes I think they still do. But the thing about it is, nothing is stronger than God. And you got to know that. And the only way you know that, if you allow yourself to understand why Christ came. We're told He came to seek and save those that are lost. Yeah, that's true. From what? Sin. How do you sin? You go against the laws of. Some people have a total different definition of sin. And to help you understand what I'm saying, say for instance, I was cooking, and when I was younger and cooked, I did do such a silly thing, but not this bad as this illustration. And I'm cooking something, and I want to see how the heat is. Is the heat the right temperature? So I don't use a thermometer. I go in there and put my hand on that stove, be it electric or gas, and the heat rips my flesh off my hand. And I go around saying, well, why did that heat take the flesh off my hand? I only wanted to know what my temperature was so I can cook my dish, so my recipe will come out perfect. That's an extreme example, but that's what we do as people. We know the law of God, thou shalt not commit adultery. Okay? Today, the world is rampant with it. And I'm going to get a note on this. You too moralistic. It's not my law. You break those laws, which you cannot break, by the way. You break yourself against that law. So what Christ did, seeing a world that wasn't thinking with divine thought, wasn't thinking from the inside out, because the world is beautiful, the world is enticing, and the world has a lot to offer. The lust of the eyes, the lust for gold, the lust of the flesh, all of that's real. You can be enticed into wrongness. You really can. And I think all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. So, what did Christ really do then? Where would He start to do this? Yes, He was born in a manger. Yes, He was. He was born in that manger. He was in the temple at 12 teaching them. But the ultimate reason He came was to die on Calvary. And why did He come to die? He gave an illustration that I missed, and probably some others too. But He came to change our way of thinking. And we know that the things of God are foolishness to mankind. The things of God are like, girl, you some stupid thinking that way. Well, girl, I don't want to be with him until I get married. Girl, you some stupid. If you don't be with him and find his here, somebody else gonna take him. That's what they tell you. And you get in trouble like that. The guys, man, you're not gonna smoke this reefer. You're not gonna rob this thing. You're not gonna hit up 20 girls. That's the world today. Exaggeration. You're not going to live like a reality star. Curse like them, fight like them, but look good and live in mansions. That's the world. And if you say, well, no, I really don't want to do that. I have no interest in that. So I don't want to do that. Then, girl, you sound stupid. You know, it's this. That's the world. Very enticing. But God says what God says. Read those 10 commandments and it'll tell you. And he came to shed light on that. Because if you think right, you're going to talk right. If you talk right, you're going to walk right. If you do all of that, you're going to behave right. When you do all of that, you become a walking epistle. You may not know who you're affecting with your light. You may not even know you have light. I promise y'all. We did a Bible study in New Orleans a couple of years ago when we had just started Designing Your Life, and we wanted to go to Walmart, I think it was, after the Bible study. And what happened was people were looking and said, well, why are they looking at us? It was 3 of us. My daughter was there and a girlfriend in New Orleans. And I asked him, so why are you looking at us? He said, y'all have so much light. It's real. People can see your light. And nothing pleases a true Christian, a person that loves and has love in their heart for God, man, and themselves, than to be an obedient child. And obedience is better than sacrifice. So Christ did the ultimate sacrifice because he knew we were just going jabberwocky as a race, just going berserk as a race with the gifts, talents, skills, and ability and the life force that he gave us. But it wasn't so much that he wanted to say you, or you not, you this, you not that. He wanted us back in order. A parent that loves their child is not going to always be talking to that child about what they're doing wrong. They're going to find a way to lovingly stand in your place when your wrong comes. They're going to find a way to warn you for as long as they can. And if any sacrifice has to be done, it's going to be that parent. Well, Christ, was the son of our parent. And he came that we might have life and light more abundantly. Walk in the light, the beautiful light. Come where the sunshine of mercy shines bright. Shine all around me by day and by night. Jesus, the light of the world. And that's true. So when Christ was crucified on Golgotha, he did it so that our light could dispel the darkness of the soul that had engulfed this world even then. How much more now? If anybody who calls themselves a follower of Christ, a believer in good, a dispeller of evil, then you're going to sit down with yourself, by yourself, with your God, the true and living God, and you're going to ask God to create in me a pure and a clean heart, oh God, and renew a right spirit within me. Because we have sins of omission, commission, all of that. All of that. Sometimes we don't even know we're doing something wrong. It could be a word. It could be an attitude. It could be something so little. But it's the little foxes that spoil everything. It's one rotten apple spoils a whole barrel. It's one drop of vinegar that will spoil an entire vat of milk. How important is it that we think right? How important is it that we think divinely? How important is it to you? We know it's important to God, but is it important to you? Because there's nothing that we do that's hidden from God. And it's going to be a 3, so let me end it and I'll come back with the ending of it.